XboxEra is about to enter its 5th year, and that's all thanks to you. If you're new here, let me fill you in. XboxEra is a platform for the Xbox community with best-in-class forums, a kick-ass Discord server, and of course XboxEra.com, chock full of the latest news, reviews and more, all focused on your favourite platform, Xbox. It's every Xbox fan's gateway to the best of XboxEra. Our incredible podcast listened to in over 50 countries across the planet, our own digital store for games and codes, our merch store for the coolest of Xbox threads, and of course Dayone, where you can track, rate and discuss your favourite games on Xbox Game Pass. XboxEra is built for you, and it's completely funded by you. If you value having a publication truly focused on your preferred place to play, you can support us directly via Patreon. Just head to patreon.com/XboxEra. You get cool swag and awesome perks, and we get to keep doing what we do. Become a part of the best Xbox community on the internet and help us build the next 5 years of XboxEra. Thank you for your support. Hello friends, and welcome to another episode of Headlines. The date is May 2nd. I'm Sik and Mechanico, and I'm joined as always by Jesse, and we're going to talk you through all of the latest in gaming news from across the industry. As a bonus for our patrons, we'll make audio versions of these episodes available to you via Patreon for use in your preferred podcast app. But if you're on Spotify, you can link your account directly and listen to it right there. Hey Jesse, it's suddenly there's loads of news, and most of it's quite good, which is nice.
It's crazy. Good Xbox news ends up getting us a lot of traffic on the site, which is very nice.
Zang!
We've had as much traffic in the last 3 days as we had in like the previous 20 or something. Probably more.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's cool, and also without doing any clickbait, thanks to our wonderful patrons first and foremost.
Yeah, you guys rock. Hi chat, nice to see you all. Trav is making me laugh already. We'll chat to you when we can, chat. You know, it's usually when one of us is talking, the other one will do some responding. Because, you know, we're hosting this thing. We can't tippity type all the time. Before we get into things, I wanted to just remind folks, next Thursday, May the 9th, we're doing our very first XboxEra subathon with a goal to generally increase subs, raise money, etc., so that we can go to Gamescom and Summer Games Fest out in LA. It costs a lot, so we're looking to recoup the funds for just hotels and flights. But the bonus is that it will be the first time me, Jesse, Nick, and a couple of other members of the team will be in the same place, in the same house, doing the same show, which we're quite looking forward to. And obviously we get to do cool coverage for you lot.
Patrons get the behind-the-scenes orgy.
Yeah, the OnlyFans content that Nick's desperately keen on producing. Only Nick. So yeah, just a heads up, the link will be in the chat in a second. But if you can, please consider donating. If you can't, consider subscribing to Patreon because, you know, you get cool stuff and we get to keep doing this. So head to Patreon.
And if you can't pay anything, if you watch on the forum, if you watch on the YouTube channel, or if you just peruse the site a bunch every day, thank you.
Set it as your homepage. That's a good idea. Set XboxEra.com as your homepage. Why not? Anyways, let's get into the news. Before we do news proper, you dropped a little review yesterday, if memory serves.
I did. I put in a review for a little game, but Travis wondering in the chat, I actually just scheduled this weekend's podcast. We will be having Mr. Gene Park joining the show.
That is
Should
really
be nice.
Cool. I'm kind of sad that I won't be there. Tell him I said hi.
Well, he only was coming on because you weren't. He wouldn't come on when you were. He told me that directly. So, for reviews, I reviewed a little weird as shit indie game called Indika. It is coming to consoles at some point in May. It hit PC today. I gave it an 8 out of 10 because it's really good. Now, as a video game, it might not always be the best playing thing, but it's really, you don't have to qualify. It is unique. I always put qualifiers on unique when unique just means unique. It doesn't mean anything else.
Yeah.
It is unique. It is set in an alt history, late 1900s or early 1900s, like late 1800s Russia. But it's a weird alt history where, crazily enough, Russia's in the middle of a war with someone. You are a nun who lives at a convent where everyone hates her. She's super smart. It ends up being this deep philosophical back and forth about the tenets of the church versus logic and how the world actually is. Everything's bigger than life. Like, you start out in a wilderness countryside, but you eventually end up in cities where there's like 300-foot tall bell towers and crazy shit. And it's one of the best written and acted games I've played. That's what carries it fully. It's like the anti-Special Nick game.
Should I check it out then?
If you want an incredible, interesting 5 hours, absolutely.
Okay.
It is mediocre as a game, like the platforming's whatever. But eventually, sometimes when it's going into Indika's past, it goes full on super colorful 2D sprites, which is very different than the footage you're seeing now of this gray, drab, mid-war alt Russia. It just jumps to full on 2D pixel art, like a Celeste for her past and what happened, why she ended up in the convent. Super smart, really. There's the 2D stuff. Like, super smart, really well written. This is the same game. She's a bit mad, so there's essentially a devil in her head that's just always talking, and it's kind of like the narrator, and she's constantly talking back to him, and then people are like, "Who are you talking to?" It's a really interesting thing that tackles some massive, not normal video game issues. While mixing in a lot of video game tropes in a clever way. When I showed Amanda the trailer, my wife, she thought it was FMV because the faces can look that good and the animation on them and some of the camera angles they do are very art housey. So it's a game that constantly punches way above its budget class, and I would highly recommend it to anyone. I don't know the price. It should be priced on Steam now. If it's anything under 30 and you're looking for something really interesting that's probably going to stick with you for a bit, I highly recommend Indika. It's out on PC now, and they said May this month for consoles.
Cool. I'll keep an eye out for it, man. That's just does look intriguing. It does look intriguing.
I'll let you know if we get an Xbox copy, because I've only got it on Steam. Yeah. So
I mean, if it's ID at Xbox, it will come through in the drop, I would presume.
Nick will want it, even though he'll never play it. Shotgun.
I've called it. But yeah, okay. Let's start with the headline then. Starfield. Todd wasn't teasing when he spoke to Kind of Funny earlier this week and says there'll be a little update. He did undersell and over-deliver. Massive update later this month. I mean, 60 FPS, a land vehicle, loads. Like, talk me through this, Jesse. As a big Starfield fan, like, we're getting some big stuff here.
So the biggest will be the 40 and 60 modes on console for Series X. I know some people are sad it's not S, but the reality is, and the S was never pushed as the one you go to for performance. You go to the X Best if you want performance, yeah. So the main crux for console users is going to be you get those visual modes now. I think there's either 30 or 60, but they highly recommend the VRR ones because it's not going to be super smooth. They also said it could go above 60, which I think means it is going to be unlocked. So if you're in a tiny, like there's some one cell stores in Jemison where who knows, maybe it goes over that. But I imagine most of the time it's not going to be a smooth 60. So as long as you got VRR on a decent display, you should be good.
Nice.
The major stuff, new map that just is actually populated with icons.
Looks good.
Yeah, so and I saw people saying, "Wow, like guy we had on the show before, Chris, the Forbes guy, he was commenting like Paul Tassi was like, that's certainly I see why they didn't have a map in." I was like, what? And then everyone's like, that certainly is a map. I'm like, it looks nice. So I don't know what you expect from a 3D map. 3D maps are not something...
I saw someone say it was cluttered, and I'm like...
You can zoom in, you can spin around. Like, yeah, when you're fully zoomed out and there's 20 icons, it's going to be cluttered. But you zoom in and you see, and it shows you exactly where you are. Like, it's a nice-looking map. I should pull it up. I'll pull up their video instead of my review. But, like, yeah, they put out a little 5-minute update video. I tried matching the aesthetic of Starfield in the going live screen. But yeah, so in this video, like, the map looks really nice. I don't know. So it's, to get to this map, it's not the map button. It is actually, you bring up your scanner and then you press the button for the map. And then this comes up for your local map to show you exactly where things are in town.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Like, because you can zoom right in. It shows you the entire cell still. So you see the whole cell, you see everywhere you can go, you see where everything is. I don't think you can mark anything on it, but it just gives you an idea of what is where. And when you bring up the scanner, all those icons are in the scanner, so you can see them while you're walking around. Like, it's really nice.
Can I just commend chat on not feeding the trolls today? Like, I'm not moderating them. I'm looking, but chat, you're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing good. You're doing the right way to go about it. Congrats. Don't buy it.
And so the other main stuff in here, if I can find it, is this. You can set the game up however you want at the cost of it. If it's easier, you gain less experience. If it's harder, you gain more experience, but you can change damage you take.
They said
damage you give. Like
carry weight.
Yeah, so
all
there's
sorts of stuff.
Yeah, enemy combat damage, player combat damage, enemy ship damage, player ship damage, aim assist, ammo weight, carry capacity. Because, right, ammo weighs nothing, but if you want to make it weighted, you'll gain more experience. I would never do that, though. How much you can carry, how much money vendors have, because vendors don't have a lot of money because they didn't want people to just make that the main money-making loop. They wanted people to interact with systems to make money before. But if you want to skip that now, whatever. If you want to get buffs from food now, you can do that at the cost of some experience. Like, you can change all these things in much more accurately. Good. You can make it so you can always access your ship cargo no matter where you are instead of having to be close to it. So, yeah, there's a ton of quality of life stuff. The other big thing, and our friend Kamanatong was very happy, you can now customize the inside of your ships just like you could your apartments. So you can set up the ship to look exactly like you want inside now, instead of having the pre-made fabs that you could just drop items in. You get a full-on decoration system for inside your ship. And that also includes them just giving you now completely empty fabs, so you don't have to sell everything that's in them. You can just buy an empty one and then decorate it how you want. There is some more stuff that they teased, like the land vehicle in the works, not coming with this patch. The other big thing, if you're into the new game pluses, as this game is, you can finally go back and change your traits, which instead of having to roll an entire new character, you can just go into the character you've been playing for a very long time and change their shit. So it's damn near everything anyone wanted, for the most part.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've seen people going, because they trotted out, I'm going to put they in air quotes, the creative decision or whatever it was. Like, the game was coming when it was coming, and to hit that date, you
have a target.
Sacrificed.
Yeah,
they sacrificed optimizing further to hit 60. Now they've had more time. They've hit 60.
Yeah. When they started the game, they didn't know exactly what the hardware was going to be, so they targeted 30 for everything. But unlike previous games, the game can run at any higher frame rate. It doesn't break at 60 like every other game they had did. So I keep saying this is how it should have been at launch.
It looks
and
great.
It's like nothing's like that anymore, man. That we had 900 versions of Street Fighter because they couldn't patch it, not because it was a better system. More time does not equal more better with everything. It's just not how it goes. Not with scope creep and all these other things. But those are most of the major ones. I might have missed some. Oh, also in conversations now, you don't have to have the camera zoom in all the way.
Zoom.
Yeah, you can just, and it's actually kind of nice because I didn't mind the zoom because I'm used to it.
It's
but
very
now
Bethesda, right? It's been in all their games. It kind of focuses them.
And now when you just walk up to someone and start talking to them, it just stays where you were, and you just talk to them, and that's it. It was actually kind of nice. It was one of the first things I tried out.
Yeah. So to be clear for folks watching, this is available now in the Steam beta build for Starfield. They're not anticipating much changing between that release and then the full release to retail. I don't think they've given a specific date for this month.
They
for this
have,
patch
actually.
yet.
At the very end of the video,
They have.
I did add it because Soul Blazers had said coming this month, but then I watched the video and it's May 15th is their targeted date for everyone to get the patch. So roughly 2 weeks, which is just about what they normally do with the beta builds. So
that is bad timing because in 2 weeks I'm going to be playing something.
You might be done by then.
Else,
if you get it in time. Who knows? I mean,
who knows?
See, that's the thing. You just never know when something's coming in. We do know it's not supposed to be that long, but if we do make the list for Hellblade 2 and you get it, and I don't think that's going to be a week-long review. That's going to be
no.
Yeah.
It'll be me, like, leave me alone for 8 hours. I'll do it in one sitting kind of thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to diving back into Starfield. There's a lot here that ticks some of the niggles I did have, particularly around navigating around, like, where you've got to go to certain places in cities and stuff like that. You know, seeing that and being able to manipulate it and the performance improvements. I mean, I'll be playing on PC anyway. But this is all really, really nice stuff.
Yeah. It is funny, man. Looking at this review, this was like Pre-Drag's best work. The animations he did for it and the way he made the article look. Oh.
Yeah, just a friendly heads up, if you haven't seen the Starfield review on XboxEra.com, go and have a look at it because our art lead, Pre-Drag, just went all out in making it one of the most beautiful looking things you've ever seen.
Yeah, it was one of the main reasons I had like 120 hours in like about a week, and then I wanted the review done so he could have time to do that. And oh my god, did he kill it?
Yeah, I maybe we should have one for Hellblade too. You know,
it just depends. Always depends how early do you get it and how much time does he get. It's tough.
Yeah, fun times. But yeah, Starfield.
It's been weird to see people positive about it. Like it has become this weird punching bag, and I think Todd was kind of smirking about that during the Kind of Funny interview, where it's like, it was our most successful launch ever, and it's got a dedicated player base, and like all these things, and we're still working on it because there's like, oh, it was a huge failure, it really hurt Xbox.
Mixed reviews.
They're abandoning it. That's why we haven't heard anything about the game. It's like, no, they very much are not. It was an enormous launch for them, even only being on the 2 platforms instead of 3. Like, it was still massive. So, I don't know.
Good times. Hooray. Good work, Bethesda. Looking forward to diving back into the Starfield. Speaking of Microsoft's new games, Ninja Theory, a lot of people complain about Microsoft's marketing efforts when it comes to games. Hellblade 2 is in a curious spot because it's not getting a physical release, being a digital-only title releasing later this month and straight into Game Pass. But Ninja Theory aren't going to let you down. They are dropping a little something every day from now until release on their Twitter account. So if you're on Twitter, X, go follow @Ninja Theory. They're just dropping screenshots and other little tidbits every day.
It's a real pretty game,
which is nice. It looks so good. Like the new screenshot is just like, looks very pretty.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting my hands on Hellblade 2. Not long to wait now. Not long to wait. It's May already. When did that happen?
Yesterday.
That was good. That was good deadpan. What else about Microsoft's new releases? Mr. Tom Warren.
Good friend of the show.
Tom Warren is an absolute gent. Over at The Verge. This is his byline. as we know, on Tuesday, while we were doing the show, Microsoft announced confirmed the already sort of known date of June the 9th.
I can give you next year's date if you want as well.
Do you think it might be June the 9th?
I think it might be the 2nd
the 10th?
June of 2025. But let's see. That would be the 8th. The 8th of June, 2025. Probably at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, well, let's see if you're right. But yes, so when that dropped, Tom Oren put out an article, much like ourselves. But Tom's had something a little extra. If you were paying attention and you were reading, you know,
More
not
than
everyone
just the headlines.
really likes reading. You know, you read between those lines. He took some bets. He said, and this is a direct quote from Tom Warren's article over on The Verge. We'll put a link in the chat. We'll likely get a date on when the big shattered space expansion is coming to Starfield. Todd Howard recently revealed it's due in the fall. And I understand Bethesda is currently targeting September. Activision is targeting the next Call of Duty for late October, with Avowed and Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 following in November, and Indiana Jones in December. That is a stacked end of the year.
But now they've got nothing from July to June to August. It's not like there's any big games coming out or enormous expansions that people are flipping out over called The Final Shape and Shadow of the Erd Tree in June.
Well, wouldn't surprise me for their showcase to have some games that haven't been announced yet being.
There's still
Hey,
Towerborn.
surprise!
Like when would Towerborn be?
Towerborn's coming.
And the thing I think a lot of people really focus on who publishes when in our circle, in our very small fandom, like we hyper focus on who published something because that is the list that I want to compare. War. And it's like most people don't give a shit. They just care, is this thing here? And on Xbox, they really care, is this thing in Game Pass? And there's going to be like 30 more things set for this year for Game Pass already that don't have most of them don't have a date from like third parties and
There's
whatnot.
so much coming.
And like in September, they've got Stalker 2 coming to Game Pass. That counts. Yep. For their slate, it's right there on console, cloud, and PC for you to play in your subscription if you got it. It's a very different beast than, I get the privilege of going to spend $70 only on this system because they published it. It's like, who gives a shit who published it? I've never understood that. I can understand, wow, they've got a bajillion teams and they're not putting anything out. But that's Sony this year. That was Xbox in 2022. Like, it happens sometimes, but it's not happened lately. I don't know.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, you got
Towerborn just doesn't have a date.
Well.
Cheeseworks, so we don't know. Towerborn never really had a date.
God.
Yeah, they've done their closed
Silk Song at
beta.
some point.
Yeah, Silk Song, which seems close. It's gotten rated everywhere. I keep that freaking list updated. The 2024 Game Pass list. Yeah.
There's so much to come.
Here it is. I'll put it in chat. Just look at this.
Arrive at some point.
Look at how many goddamn games are in the TBA category. You guys freaking like when you go over the platform and what actually matters, and you got your undated section, which doesn't work when I click it. What the heck? I gotta fix that. It broke. The link's broken. All right, undated. All of these games, everything here is undated. Like, all of this shit is day one undated release. John, Nirvana Noir, still no date. Coming this year. Could come at any time.
Yeah.
But like
Dead Static Drive, Flintlock. I don't think we have a date for that yet.
Nope. It's summer, that's it. Ghost Spike was a long time ago. There's also still that freaking Neon White was supposed to come in winter 2023, and it still hasn't shown up. Like, there's still so much Era
Nick
history untold. No,
Nick
it was at a show. It was at one of their shows.
Because I remember they called us out and said, we've reported. And I was like, no, we didn't.
Yeah. And then also a couple months later,
heard.
they announced it coming to Xbox and Game Pass in winter 2023. But yeah, like a lot of these things will probably get dates soon, either at the main showcase or in the extended showcase where they do their sizzle reel, which I think might have been where we saw Neon White in the extended showcase sizzle reel last year. But like, there's so much shit still coming, and it all counts. And it's always weird to me that people try and just ignore it because it's not first party. But it's like, I don't care. I just get to play it.
Man, so SteamWorld Heist 2, Dungeons of Hinterberg, Frostpunk 2.
Yeah,
Wakes the
there are
Deep.
plenty with dates. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm hyped. We just basically don't know anything outside
Humanity.
of like October, November, December. So.
Yeah, they're porting Humanity end of next month. Hypercharge and Box comes out end next month, but not Game Pass.
Yeah, shame.
Yeah.
Shame.
There's so much shit.
It's always tricky when it's not multiplayer. Like, you release a multiplayer game and it's not immediately getting access to 35 million people.
Yeah.
Always a problem. Anywho, suffice to say, plenty to look forward to this year.
Too much.
One thing I'm gonna. Oh no, you've done them in these orders, so I'm gonna
Do whatever order you
them
want. I'm typing it now.
Okay. Well, I was just going to get the game stuff out of the way. So, as well as that, we've also got a new season for Diablo, Diablo 4 coming. Loot Reborn. Looks really good. You're a big Diablo fan. Are you hyped for this?
Yeah, it's the Diablo 2 Destiny 2 moment where they're like, Destiny 1 by the end, we had a lot of really good ideas and things worked great. Division, by the end of the Division, it was incredible. People still go back to it because we figured out the loot and run stuff so much.
Yeah.
Pretty much
we
every
changed it for the sequel.
Yeah. And then we didn't have any of that shit in there, and we didn't have the replayable stuff. And then, oh shit, we really need the replayable stuff and the really good build crafting. And that's what Loot Reborn is. We're going to give you something that's highly replayable. We're going to give you way more control over your loot. We're going to give you less loot, but it's better, and you get to change it more. So, it is a massive, massive update that people have been extremely happy about on the public test realm. It gives you way more options on... There's white noise in the background from your window probably being open.
Okay. My bad. Sorry.
But yeah, it's pretty much Diablo 4. If you want to just keep playing it and have fun and have it be your podcast game again, this makes it way more that. Where I love the campaign and I'd come back for seasons here and there, but it didn't hit the same as like the Nephilim Rifts and all the build stuff in 3. But much like the Division 2, which eventually got all the build stuff back in and brought in their own equivalents to Nephilim Rifts, which are just highly repeatable, randomized content. Yeah, season Loot Reborn, like they wanted to get Diablo into Game Pass so they could stabilize everything, because I bet you it's going to explode server-wise when this one hits, because people are going to be very happy.
It's gonna go crazy again, because there's going to be more people that have access to it, and the cycle of like endorphins that you get from doing the loot runs is going to hit, and boom, Diablo's off. Fun times. Fun times.
It's a great game. It just didn't have the legs that people got used to with 3, but that is also a hard thing to have with everything, especially right at the start. It's only been a year. Like, it hasn't been that long. They've gotten and fixed things up a lot faster than I think others did. Others, it took a couple years or more to really fix things.
What they're doing.
It's already in a good
old
place.
hands at
This puts it in a great place.
Good times. Good times. In a surprise announcement yesterday, a new Batman game for Oculus Quest was
for the Oculus
revealed.
Quest 3 only. They have not done that. Like even the bigger ones have not been Quest 3 exclusive. They have been 2 and Pro at least. This one only MetaQuest 3. Batman Arkham Shadow coming later this year. They didn't show any gameplay of it yet. We don't know. It won't be Kevin Conroy. Unless it's a very surprise, because there's one last cartoon coming out with Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill that they had filmed years ago. They're done the audio 4 years ago. So, very, very excited to see this one. I really enjoy the MetaQuest 3, and now we can actually capture MetaQuest 3 footage in insanely good quality thanks to their Developer Hub app update. So you can stream it at like perfect looking 1080, or you can record it at like perfect looking 4K. It's really nice. It's going to make those, and it's actual widescreen. It's not cropped or stretched. It's just widescreen natively. It looks so good. But yeah, so
glorious.
It's done by Camouflage, who did the Iron Man VR game, which is pretty good. So
looks
Quest
good.
3 Quest 3 rules. If you don't like meta, I get it. You don't want to give them any money, fine. You don't have to have a Facebook account now, though, which is a big improvement. I'm sure they're still taking all your data to sell to try and offset the insane hardware costs that they also, as many people are finding out, hardware doesn't make money very well. It's on like Apple, Meta, and now Microsoft all being like, how can we not lose tons of money on hardware? Makes you wonder, because we're going to get Sony financials in a couple weeks, and I bet you their hardware even then, because Matt Piscatella in the Circana report,
which we'll cover in a bit.
Yeah, went over a little bit.
It's all down.
It's tough.
Yeah. Before we do that, though, those damned Funko Pops are coming in games and stuff. Funko Fusion has been announced for this September. A festival of fandom like never before. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest.
It's nothing but
I don't
IPs.
Get Funko Pops. Yeah, it's not for me.
I want to say I don't, but look at this shit. None are mine.
The shame.
None of them are mine, except for the one my wife bought me of Tom Brady. And my son's got like 40 in his room. I don't know. They like them.
It looks competently made, but yeah, it's also Funko Pops. But it's coming all platforms pretty much: PC, PS4, 5, Xbox. No Xbox One, funnily enough. Which I thought was interesting. And Nintendo Switch on September 13th. So if you're really into your Funko Pops...
if you're really into IPs, because this whole thing is just about bringing in other IPs, because that's all Funko is. Funko is, I like this thing, let me get a little doll of it. And this game is, I've got a ton of these little dolls now. So, like, that are actual movie and shows and... like He-Man, and like there's a whole bunch. Hasbro is spending billions in gaming. They're already making it back with that Monopoly Go, which we'll talk about in Circana probably. But yeah, this looks competently made. This looks like a Lego game, but with much uglier Funko characters with their dumb giant heads.
Yep. And even all the creatures have dumb giant heads.
This is a Nick game, because Nick loves crossovers.
Give me my IPs.
It's got Hot Fuzz in it, John. It's got cool IPs. You can be friggin' Simon Pegg from Hot Fuzz. It's weird.
It's a great film. It's a great film. But don't care. In other Bethesda news, Fallout 4's next gen update is now finally available. A couple of days ago, so I think it was fixed after we'd finished headlines earlier this week on Tuesday, is now available for people that have it in PlayStation Plus.
So it was the higher tiers. It was fixed because the higher tiers can they can throw things in there more easily. But the old one, where you get it like games with gold style with PlayStation Plus, the PlayStation 4 store is a mess for SKUs, where every SKU is different and things never tie into each other. So I don't know how they fixed it. I wouldn't be surprised if they had to literally go in and have it manually give the PS5 SKU to everyone who got it from PlayStation 4, because it doesn't work automatically. Because it was always that funny thing with people making fun of smart delivery, not realizing, without it really sucks. You just don't get the new thing unless like they do a ridiculous amount of work, which they don't want to do. Like that has always been Xbox's thing.
Go figure.
We'll do all the hard work so that the devs don't have to. Like, that's how they try and do things. And PlayStation's like, devs, go do some hard work. They finally fixed... The PlayStation 5 store is a lot better than the PS4 one. But yeah, this took some work from them.
Yeah, but it's all resolved now. So go play the new update if you're into Fallout, considering the Fallout fever everywhere at the moment. Speaking of stores and being updated, just a friendly reminder to everybody that the Xbox 360 store... on the 360, so
the 360 marketplace
the Xbox 360
itself,
is going to be shutting down July 29th. So if you're still playing on a 360 somewhere, or you want to download things, this will be
it's
the
mainly
end.
Like for things that are not back compat, that you won't be able to get through the Xbox One store that brought them forward. So if a game's back compat, like Xbox game, because obviously the original Xbox store didn't exist for digital, so they've remade everything in the new store, but because there's just no one buying a bunch of digital stuff to play on their 360s directly, They're like, we're just going to shut this down. It's too much work. I think Eden's talked before about how much that store can break other stuff that you wouldn't think is attached because of the way everything works. So, yep, you can still get all the back compat stuff through the Xbox store now, but the 360 marketplace, the original, is shutting down.
Yeah. You will be able to still re-download anything you have bought, though. That will be supported. So, yeah, if you want to know more, head to aka.ms/Xbox 360 store update for more infos. But there you go. And then last bit of news before we dive into the Circana report. Horizon Zero Dawn's Complete Edition is leaving PlayStation Plus this month, which is a bit weird because it's like, it's yours. You can just leave it in there.
That seems to happen when they have another version coming that they want you to buy.
And there's been rumors of a remaster of...
Yeah, got to remaster this still gorgeous game. Like Horizon Zero Dawn looks fantastic. But Grubb and now Nick have both said they've heard about some form of PlayStation show this month. They don't have new big things coming from first party. They are leaning heavily on remakes, and those remakes are doing well. So hate your fellow gamers if you don't like it. But yeah, it's always weird to see how they treat their own first party stuff, especially when it's not tied to an IP or anything like that they're licensing. It's their own thing.
It's very weird. But yeah, maybe we'll see something announced on later this month as part of some sort of PlayStation show. So there you go. And then the last bit of news for today, the Circana March report. Matt Piscatella highlighted a bunch of stuff on Twitter. If you don't follow him, I would highly recommend you do so. I will drop his link in the chat just for fun. If you're into this sort of thing. But I'm just reading his tweets here. Projected total US spending on video game hardware, content, and accessories, it gained 4% in March 2024 versus YA, reaching 4.9 billion. Mobile content spending grew 15%, which offsetted a 32% drop in hardware. Oh, just Microsoft?
And it's funny because like last year, so 2 years ago, PlayStation did very bad in March. Last year, they did like 500% better than that. But then they themselves are down again in March and down for the quarter. So,
are you shocked? It's
others
an industry problem.
Others seem to be shocked when, like, if you go back, if you look at Microsoft's guidance in January, their guidance was, we're going to drop like 40% in hardware. And then they dropped 30%, which was actually better than they thought. And if you go to Sony's guidance in hardware, they're like, we're going to be down in hardware. Like, our margins are under 5%. Like, that's not going to get better. We're not expecting things to get much better right away because we don't have any big releases coming. And it's like, yeah, they're being heavily carried, as Matt points out, by the unbelievable success of the very good Helldivers 2, which both either just the PlayStation 5 version or the even bigger PC version, either one would be enough to be the top-selling premium game for 2024 so far. So not DLC and free-to-play, but as an actual buying a game.
Yeah, it's year-to-date ending March 2024. Top 20, Helldivers 2 led the charge, followed by Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, and then Dragon's Dogma 2 and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth.
Modern Warfare 3 is one where people are always sleeping on it and just assume it got bad reviews, so it's dead. And it's like, no, it's sold like crazy.
It's still
again.
Huge.
It's still massive. Hogwarts Legacy is still massive, still like number 11 or something. Like I feel like the industry a lot of times gets into the rut of thinking that if they're not into something, then it is not successful. Like what happened with Starfield. Like, we're not into this. We're laughing at it. Obviously, everyone else hates it. And it's like, no. If you guys actually covered the stuff that people cared about, we would be talking about Minecraft, Roblox, and Fortnite 99% of the time.
Well,
and
Nick talks about Fortnite.
If we were in the East, we'd have like Maple Story and Genshin and a bunch of other games talking about, like, we don't actually cover the successful stuff. Alan Wake 2 got more coverage than Hogwarts, and Hogwarts sold like 75 times as much, like probably conservatively. It's just like Alan Wake 2 still hasn't made back its budget, which sucks because that game's incredible, even though it broke on you a lot.
Yeah. We've got the top 10 across March for both Xbox and PlayStation on PlayStation 5. Fortnite, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto 5, NBA 2K24, Helldivers 2 at number 5, Madden, Roblox, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Sifu, and Minecraft. And then you go to look at Xbox and, Fortnite, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto 5, Roblox, Minecraft, Madden, NBA, Rainbow Six Siege still does incredibly well on Xbox. Dead Island 2, probably thanks to Game Pass. And MLB The Show 24, also in Game Pass. So, yeah.
And they don't give. So MLB The Show is huge, but they don't give the digital sales on Xbox to Circana because PlayStation's petty. They give their own digital sales, and it's number 1, but they don't give it to. They don't give it to Circana. And I do see Winter Shoulder saying Xbox should want to improve their hardware. I'm sure they do, but the way they would improve their hardware is by getting the costs down so that they can make money on it, because they don't want to spend an entire generation losing money. Like, the reason the Switch has done so well for Nintendo is because they've always kept their margins down. They've always kept their prices down. They never lost money.
It's a cheap device.
Yeah, it's a cheap little tablet that they are wizards at making look very pretty. Sometimes at 60, other times at 15 frames a second. But like Microsoft and Sony don't have that luxury. Sony's decided to go all in. What can we do to try and sell hardware as badly as we can? Still missing targets. Microsoft is like, we're just not. We don't see the benefit. We're not going to keep losing money on it. If we could sell more, awesome. But the ways that people think of how to do it just end up costing us, and we're not allowed to run at a loss forever. They ran at a loss for a bit.
The business doesn't subsidize the consoles as much as you think they would. I think every Xbox console is sold at a profit, and they're not looking to shift loads and loads and loads.
Yeah, like even when it went up in Brazil, Phil was like, "This is still our smallest profit margin in Brazil. We had to raise it." And people are like, but PlayStation's doing this. And it's like, oh, they're losing a bunch of money then, most likely. Like, they're okay with that. But it's also really hurting them financially. So it's what do you want? Companies want to make money.
It's always interesting to me, like, the focus on hardware. It's important, don't get me wrong. It's the cornerstone of your console business, right? Mm-hmm. But more and more nowadays, we're living in a world where many gamers are still on their PS4s and Xbox Ones. And they're still playing Fortnite.
That's exactly what's happening with iPhones and Androids. Samsung and Apple and all of them are shifting away from trying to constantly upsell you hardware, because people are like, my Pixel 7's fine. I don't need a Pixel 8. I don't need an iPhone 15 Max. I've got an iPhone 14 Max. I'm fine.
Predominantly, more and more people are like, no, I'm just going to keep this for like 3 or 4 or 5 years.
It's the dishwasher and refrigerator problem. They used to make them really good. And you'd buy one and it would last you forever. And they're like, fuck, how do we sell more?
We've really screwed ourselves.
Plastic and circuit boards. And so it breaks down more. Like, well, why does everything break down more? It's because that's the only way they can keep making money, is by either getting you to pay to repair it or buy a new one. And when it comes to hardware, it's like, okay, if they're going to buy this one box and do it for 8 years, we can upsell some of them on a pro model, but not many. PlayStation 4 had over 140 million sales, but only 17 million of them were PS4 Pros. Like,
yeah. And
that one came pretty early comparatively. That one was 3 years in or something, 4 years in, I forget, but it was like about half.
I want to say 3.
Yeah. So it's like, I know we are so used to gaming working this way, but it hasn't for a bit. And this is companies slowly coming to that realization. I know people are like, Xboxes and Microsoft are always too soon. And it's like, well, in this case, even they are kind of late, because it has already changed. It's already a free-to-play, microtransaction-dominated market with an up-and-coming player base that doesn't really care what they're playing on, as long as they can play it with their friends. And the way you can do that the easiest and the cheapest is PC anyways, so it's it's different.
I'm very curious to see what their ambitions are, Microsoft's ambitions. I think we're going to hear more in June about what hardware looks like for them going forward, because I think they're, we've heard the scuttlebutt, we've discussed it.
What Sarah said.
I did an opinion piece,
and,
about this whole new world of merging the more open PC side of things and bringing that into a console-esque space. Mm-hmm. And I'm very, very curious to see how Microsoft are going to be able to pull this off, as you all should be, right? And just try and step out of the ridiculous list war mindset. Like, value the device that gives you the best what you value, time for money, performance, whatever the case may be, and make your decisions based on that. As a company, I don't think Microsoft are going to care as much and subscribe as much to the us versus them narrative, because if they put a lot of their games out on other consoles, I mean, Sea of Thieves launched. I'm writing the re-review for Sea of Thieves. I played a bunch over the last few days since it dropped. I've already got like 600-700 hours in that game. But boom, suddenly they've got a massive first-party game, and it's massive on PlayStation, just like that. And that's made them a bunch of money, because that's not in a Game Pass subscription. They've got to go spend $70 on that. So, and I envy those guys, because they're coming into that game and there's so much content comparatively to when I first played it.
It's really got a 7 on Push Square. I was like, that seems weird for 2024.
I have thoughts, but people can read them tomorrow, because I'm still deliberating on it. I was going to try and get it done today, but it will be tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow will be Sea of Thieves Day, because we'll put out your review early in the day, and then you and I will play. At this 10 a.m. tomorrow, we're going to do the Sea of Sloops. Yeah.
Co-stream. And we are going to try and work with Microsoft Rare to get a XboxEra Sea of Thieves server, so that we can do some fun community events with everybody, like hunting us down and all sorts of stuff like that, and treasure hunts and races and just silly stuff. So we'll work on that. But yeah, that is all the news though. Gaming is always busy, always changing, and the countdown to June and the showcase has begun now. We are putting together what we expect to see.
John and Nick are not allowed to contribute.
I'm going to contribute a little bit.
Nope. You started playing Mr. Insider. You lose the right. Okay, fine. You can. I trust you more than Nick to just not start. Oh, imagine if we see a Sea of Thieves in Monkey Island's collaboration. Wow.
Wouldn't it be weird
wink.
if Microsoft Flight Simulator added a Dune Ornithopter? Wouldn't that be
I was trying
strange?
really hard to not just mute him the entire friggin' time last time. I was like, oh, come on, Nick, don't.
Yeah.
He tries to spoil
Maybe
the
he
whole
won't
show
get up
again.
at 3 a.m. this time.
Well,
Maybe
no,
he
that
won't
was
get
the
up
day
at 3
before. That was
a.m.
the podcast before.
Yeah.
Yeah, the normal time for him. Oh, my God. But this weekend's podcast is going to be with the one and only Gene Park, the Washington Post. We've been trying to have him on for a while. Finally worked out. Super excited.
Pretty awesome.
No John this weekend. Unfortunately, you're with your boys having your orgies. We will be, and you got the one other thing. Sorry. And we've, and yeah. But then Nick is gone next weekend, so we'll be partying, looking for another co-host. I'm sure we'll find someone throughout the week, and then the following weekend, it's your 40th. You're that much closer to death.
Don't remind me.
And you're
I
out
don't want
again.
to be 40.
Out 3 for 4 weeks. Mr.
I
Full-time.
know. I feel bad. I know. And then in June I'm going to be traveling. Although I still should be doing shows. It will just be at weird times of day.
Mm-hmm. For you, it'll be actual evening. You'd be like, I'm just done at whatever we're doing with Summer Games Fest, and now I'm at the hotel, hopefully clothed, and on the podcast.
Yeah, well, definitely clothed. Definitely.
I'm 42 this year. I've still got 2 years on you.
Yeah, I
Nick's
just
60.
Feel it in my bones.
But he doesn't look it because he just... I think he's a vampire who feeds on energy of those around him, and so that's why he always looks so young.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think he's got some face filtering technology. Like I've seen him on conference calls, team meetings, where the camera's at a different angle. There's natural daylight in the room, and I can see the age on him. Then, so
See the crow's feet.
Yeah, the crow's feet are there. Like don't believe everything you see. But anyway, that's it for headlines. Thank you for hanging out with us, chat. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way out, and if you really love what XboxEra does, please consider supporting us directly on Patreon, patreon.com/XboxEra, or by becoming a YouTube member right here. We prefer Patreon because it's better for you and better for us. But if you prefer living in YouTube, that's fine too. Mm-hmm. We'll be back next Tuesday with another episode of Headlines.
And I'll be back
this weekend podcast
in about
with
an hour
Park.
or so. I'm going to be streaming the new Starfield patch on PC.
New Starfield patch streaming on PC. Come check it out. We'll see you then. Ciao for now.